Hello, CNG 2012. Definitely feels different saying that instead of the 3-digit course, the 4-digit course. But welcome to week 4. Let's see. I did update all the links. My apologies for that one. But all the links are now updated and going to the correct site. This week we're looking at configuring storage, file systems. And when we talk about that, I haven't seen a lot of errors on the Cengage platform itself, but it did look like some of the labs were having some issue with the pipe function. Glad to see that chat and support going on in the WebEx room, and that's exactly what it's for. Once again, I'm able to keep eyes on this as we're going. But definitely I keep track of it while I'm at work. Let's see, so we're going to be looking at server storage overview, what is storage, reasons for storage, storage access methods, disk capacity, disk interface technologies, volumes, disk types, disk formats, FAT, NTSF, REFS, preparing new disks, so like replacement disks, managing disks in PowerShell, working with virtual disks, dynamically expanding files of disks. A lot of this is just a rehearsal of or a revisit of, I guess the course would be 2011, which it would just be Windows OS, because all this chapter should be mostly review, because all the file systems that are used here are also used in basic OS. And maybe you had a course also that a lot of overlap with courses that are cloud-based, because that'd be like working with virtual disks, things of that nature, creating Windows share files. This is a cool topic because this comes in handy when you have a file share that's on the network, and you're just like the other course I'm teaching this semester, where we do it a little bit later on in the course, but the Windows file share server needs to be accessed by the Linux OS, so that two different operating systems need to communicate together to get to that file share. And that's not a hang-up, because basically the server is just hosting a type of file, whether it be FAT, NTSF, it doesn't really matter, but it gives access to other OSs looking to access or download that file and use that file. Then we can walk through some creating Windows share files, creating actually the share and the file, managing shares, creating and managing shares at the command line, admin shares, accessing file shares from client computers, network file system, so creating a shared drive, not necessarily creating a shared path. Well, I guess they're really all paths, right? Because not only are you sharing like where the file is at, but a network file would be sharing the drive of the file. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. But it's still just, in essence, a path to a set of files. Then we're going to talk about some security, share permissions, file and folder permissions, and then we jump in review. I think one of the biggest thing when it comes to file access is definitely managing the share permissions, share levels, because we get into this full control, change, read permissions. But at what point, and we see that these are groups at this level, at what point do you start making sure that the groups are also, the right people are in the right groups, and they have the correct access to that shared file? Here Here we have some users, so we're explicitly saying test user has, well, if I couldn't click on him, he would have specific access to this folder, test share 1, while if he was in another group, he would have other accesses. But I'm guessing by putting in that user, test user, and user administrator at this sort of level, they have explicit permissions that are probably above the administrators themselves. Usually, you try not to do this. Usually, it's like a group that has access to a folder, and then test user and administrator would be in that group, not necessarily added directly to that folder. That's a kind of a difficult way to administer a file system on a specific, I guess you could say drive, because maybe this folder is on a drive somewhere. But that's a little bit more difficult. Just having them in a group makes it a lot easier to manage that group than manage that person's access within that. Here we have another one. Looking at the Advanced tab, if we were open with permissions, here we have our test user, and then where's that administrator guy at the top? They have access to, yeah, there we go, H drive, test share 1. So we see that it's like at the very root of the H drive. But a little bit better way to manage it would just make sure they're in a group, going from that route. And then you can kind of see effective access. So we're still in the advanced sharing, and we can see the effective access of administrators group. Pretty cool stuff to learn about, especially this week when taking a look at file systems. Definitely as a server admin, this is something that you'll be managing on the daily, because there's always creation of new files, folders. Every year you have at least a new folder made, or a whole bunch of folders made in any cases, and you have to manage the access to those folders. But once again, doing that in a way that you're managing groups instead of individuals makes it a lot easier when it comes to doing network admin for that. And I think that covers all of our topics for this week. If you have any questions, definitely start asking in the WebEx channel. Glad to see people working as a group with the channel already, and that is definitely a place to ask questions. Make sure you're working through it. And once again, I know the system is not perfect. It's just a way to level the playing field so everybody has like access to the same hardware, the same experience. It can be a headache sometimes, but it's the best thing that's kind of out there that everyone has access to. So with that, have a good week 4. Keep on doing homework, and I will get to grading here this weekend.